Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon, and I am attempting to muddle through a gaming video because, well, Geeky Sparkles doesn't like covering video games that much. My voice is returning. I'm on antibiotics. I kind of gave in and decided to bite the bullet, take the pill, right? So hopefully I'll be able to return to normal here within the next couple days, and I do appreciate the well wishes. I really didn't feel that bad. I just couldn't talk. So, we're going to talk about, some people are like, hey, fantastic, go away, Clownfish, shut down. No, that's for all the other YouTubers to do. Just go ahead and shut down, quit. A lot of people doing that lately, shutting down, quitting, getting banned. We're actually going to try to ramp things up over here. We're going to talk about the video game industry. We're going to talk about Netflix. We're going to talk about them closing their AAA gaming studio before they ever released a game. I mean, what the hell is going on over there? This isn't really that surprising, though. I mean, Netflix has the money to be able to jump in and out of things pretty quickly. And, they did this with animation, right? They went and bought that big animation campus, and they were going to do all kinds of animation. Then they just, changed their mind one day, and they're like, yeah, we're not going to. And I'm like, I don't know if it's like they're just doing this for tax reasons or what's going on here, but this is pointing to a bigger problem, that AAA gaming is not working out very well. And we're gonna talk about this. This is definitely the big story today because Netflix made such a big deal about getting into gaming. They were coming for your video games. Netflix was going to take over gaming like they took over movies, and that does not appear to be the case. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Hey, check this out. Speaking of games, speaking of news, we are going to bring DRez back in some form. We actually had a website. Did you know we had a website for DRez? It was part of Clownfish TV. It was mostly gaming and anime news and that sort of thing. Yeah, it was out there for like 3 or 4 years. And we had some great writers working for us. You guys know who you are, and gals. But we had to kind of pull the plug on the website because Google killed the internet, right? So we're going to try bringing it back, posting articles directly on X for now. So we've been posting articles for like the last week or so. I've been kind of working with a couple of guys to do that and trying to bring things back. So if you go out to DRez News on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, you can follow us. And we're going to talk a little bit about X too, because Elon Musk definitely has opinions about the modern gaming space. He's been whacking the beehive on X, his personal message board, basically, but that's okay. I think more people are going to come around to X if we survive the next couple of months and the government doesn't find a way to shut it down. We need some viable alternatives, but I think it feels to me, now I could be wrong, but it feels to me like there's definitely a sea change coming in all of gaming, all of comic books. Things are starting to be course corrected across the board. And this would include, animation, comics, Hollywood to some degree, but definitely video games. A lot of independent developers are popping up now, and they're putting out some really good stuff, and they're pushing back against the activists that have taken over the industry for the last, 10, 12 years. And a lot of these people, wound up kind of being shown the door anyway, I think, because they didn't have what it took to work in the industry. I want to be clear. I'm not saying that somebody doesn't have what it takes to work in the industry, based on their political beliefs or whatever. I'm talking just, we had people that were in the industry that really didn't have any skill or desire to make video games. They just wanted the platform because the video games were huge. They wanted to give TED Talks about how they were whatever insert minority marginalized person here and get, accolades for that. And, oh, by the way, I got to make video games too. Oh, well, darn, let's do another Kickstarter or something. Let's do, you know what I'm saying? It's like, so let's talk about this. This is Netflix. This was a big deal. When it was announced. The Verge has it. Netflix closes AAA gaming studio before it ever released a game. The studio known as Blue was developing a multi-platform AAA game for an original IP when Netflix shut it down. So the first cracks are starting to show in Netflix's push into gaming. I think it's a terrible idea. I think Netflix should just license out its whatever IP it has that actually has some value to people that actually know how to make games. I think they're overextending themselves. First reported in GameFile and confirmed by Netflix, the streaming company has quietly, not now, there's like 40 articles on it, quietly closed one of its studios, the first in the 3 years since the company began its foray into gaming. According to GameFile, the shuttered studio was known as Blue. In 2022. They announced they hired former Overwatch executive producer Chaco Sonny to run the studio. Since then, Blue had brought on a number of game industry veterans with experience working on high-profile franchises, including Halo and God of War. Reportedly, Blue was developing a multi-platform AAA game for an original IP, but was closed before the game could be announced or released. But maybe Netflix got into it and they're like, this is going to be really damn expensive and we don't know if it's going to pay off. I don't know. Netflix has released a steady stream of games on its platform since the beginning of the gaming experiment in 2021. Though it started with a small handful of hyper-casual mobile games, Netflix's offerings have expanded to include mobile exclusives of games like Grand Theft Auto and Hades. Netflix, yeah, it's so weird, the whole Netflix, because like I don't watch Netflix for games, right? And I know they had Netflix games out there for years before people even knew they had games. And they're like, oh, they've got video games. Yeah. The most recent additions were a mobile game studio in Helsinki, a new studio in Southern California, and Cozy Grove developer Spry Fox. But with the closure of Blue, Netflix's trend of expansion may be over. I think the comments are kind of interesting on this. Badass Cat 1 says, how is it a AAA game studio if it never released a AAA game? That is a good point, because basically this game is going to cost over $100 million to make, and the graphics are going to be at this particular level. Weirdly enough, all the money that Warner Brothers spent on Suicide Squad, and I'm hearing really good things about the Batman VR game. Is it Arkham Shadow? Is that what it is? I saw trailers for it. People say it's amazing, and actually looks like a proper Batman game. So maybe it'd be a good palate cleanser from Suicide Squad. Netflix in its bones doesn't really care or respect gaming as a culture, its development, or even art medium. Rather than Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, or Apple, and that seems to be a problem with their in-house offering and development. Apple can't even do it very well. It's just another way to pad out the value in their increasingly expensive subscription service. So what they're doing is they can't really get more subscribers, so they can get more money out of each subscriber. They've hit the ceiling, right? I mean, Netflix is probably not ever going to have a huge uptick in subscribers because everybody who knows about Netflix already has a subscription. So what you do is you start raising the prices and you have to retain people. So to retain people, you offer them more. In this case, they're like, well, we're going to give you video games. I secretly, not so secretly, hope Netflix's gaming ambitions crash and burn. I don't want a gaming subscription future. Imagine a future where you won't be able to buy games anymore. You have to pay a subscription to access them. Even single player games, you have to be 100% of the time online. That's pretty much now. That's where we are now. I mean, oh yeah, hey, no, that's great. Badass Cat 1 calls it out. Yeah. We're pretty much there already. Game Pass, PS Plus, every company involved in gaming would love it if you just get on board with this already. Ubisoft already said, we would love it if people just like rented their games. We don't want you need to get used to the idea of not owning anything, right? They're going to do it all they can to force you to do so. Personally, I've already basically checked out modern gaming in part because of this. I see where it's going and where it is already. And there are frankly so many great games. Even in recent generations, I never played. I just started buying a lot of those, and they're cheap too. Yeah, that's actually a good call, I think. Especially, Xbox and PlayStation games. Most of them are pretty cheap. PS2, PS3, PS4, and there's so much out there. And a lot of the stuff is better. And, we didn't really have, I guess they called them AAA games, but they were, by today's standards, not, right? But a lot of those games, what are they doing? They're going back to the well, right? They're going back and remastering much better games and just giving them a fresh coat of paint and, DEI. But you know what I'm saying? Like it's like they know. I think there's so many people in gaming right now that know that the most innovative days, at least from the major studios, are long gone. They're very much in the rearview mirror. Almost all the major studios. I can't think of really any major studio putting out anything that looks just absolutely freaking jaw-dropping. All the excitement seems to be going to the indie space. And I think that's kind of where the future is, right? Because remember, all these companies at one point, they were nothing compared to Atari, and now nobody cares about Atari, right? The only company that's been pretty consistent all these years is probably Nintendo. And they have a totally different business model. Nintendo's like video games, but also like the toy market. Like they're kind of a different thing, right? Concerning the number of devices that can access Netflix, it seems like a missed opportunity to limit these games just to mobile. Yeah, that was kind of dumb. I think what's going to happen is Xbox is basically going to beat them to the punch. I think Xbox is going to be the Netflix of games, is what I think is going to happen. Markman9 says, with the current state of AAA gaming, it feels like this was to be expected, but it always confuses me how Netflix's overall gaming strategy goes. Netflix discovered AAA game development means paying hundreds of millions of dollars up front with a 40% chance the game completely crashes and burns. Yeah, this is 100% true. And this is, Google got out of it too, right? They said this kind of reminds me, this is a mystery me. This kind of reminds me of when Google shut down their in-house game studios for Stadia before they could ship a single game as well. The only major difference in this case is that Netflix only shut down the single studio that was focused on AAA games, not the entire in-house game development division. Everybody seems to be pivoting to cheaper games, but I think Netflix might just focus on mobile stuff. I don't know how games are going to work out for them because, again, that's not their brand. Like, if anybody's going to be a Netflix for games, I think it's going to be Xbox becoming a platform kind of like Steam, and there not being an actual kind of dedicated Xbox console anymore. I mean, you might have like an Xbox player that you buy, or maybe like multiple companies will make an Xbox machine or something. I mean, that's where I kind of see it going eventually. Just observation. But we're going to wrap this up, guys. One, I can't talk very well. And two, we're kind of beating a dead horse, but it's called AAA gaming. Just real quick to go back to Musk and his comments. He said, let's make games great again. And that set a whole lot of people off. But we do have a lot of people agreeing with him too. We had Mrs. Massacre here. Video games are so woke anymore. I've gamed my entire life. I think, since I was 6. And every time I pick up a new game, I'm just waiting for it to suck and be woke. Mark says, TV is nigh on dead to me because it's next to impossible for me to find a show that isn't DEI-laden crap. It's out there. It actually, look, guys, and I'm being 100% honest here. It is overall getting better, but the reason it's getting better is they're running out of money. And they have to make money. So you're going to see an improvement, I think, in entertainment out of necessity, not because they want to, but I think these studios know they have to produce content that is palatable to middle America because middle America has a lot of money. Now, what could potentially happen if Trump gets reelected is that everybody goes batshit crazy again and just burns everything down. And they're like, we don't care. Everything has to be anti-Trump, whatever again. And that's very possible too, But for now, I mean, it does seem like some good stuff's kind of trickling out. Greg says, I have no idea what this means, but I agree. And I think we're going to see, again, a sea change in a lot of it. And this is a shakeout, right? This is what happened with the death of the home video game market in the early 80s. And we saw a rise in quality PC gaming and arcade games. And eventually, when Nintendo was ready, we were ready for Nintendo, and things kind of resumed. And I think we've just gotten to a point where the gaming industry, it's not even fun anymore. It's been, all these developers are so focused on, politics aside, graphics over gameplay in a lot of cases. I mean, massive budgets on these games. The games that have stood the test of time, most of them were made with very small teams. And now we've got more people working on a video game than we have working on a movie. And there is a less than, like they were saying, 40% chance it's going to crash and burn. We've seen so many high profile failures. And it's going to end, right? I think companies are going to play it safe. They're going to consolidate. And I think gamers are going to move on. They're like, we can't trust Ubisoft anymore. So we're gonna buy games from indie developers. Just my opinion. I am losing my voice, guys. I am really sorry about that. Hopefully tomorrow will be a little bit better. We'll see if you have Geeky in the next like 20 videos, that you'll know that the pills didn't work and I'm probably dead. RIP Neon. That's okay. I'm gonna wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later. Join the reef. Go to clownfish-.com. That's clownfish-.com. You will get exclusive access to podcasts and videos and comic strips and more, as well as merch discounts. Check it out. If you were a member, you could get this t-shirt, this dismal t-shirt on our website. You'd get a 10% discount on that. You can also join in the community on clownfish-.com. Thank you so much for the support.